Greetings. How you doing? How's everybody? It's the day after Labor Day, which explains the sort of patriotic look I've got going on today. I wanted to get one more use out of this dress. So obviously, if you're listening to this on a podcatcher, you don't appreciate the stars I'm wearing, but on YouTube you can see it. And by the way, I'm on YouTube, so check out the exclusive career and the exclusive career coach if you want to see me talking to you. All right, as a reminder, my name is Lisa Edwards. I am a certified job search strategist, a certified executive and leadership development coach, and one of about 23 master resume writers in the world. Here we go. As I mentioned a moment ago, we have two podcasts. I alternate the two. This podcast, The Exclusive Career Coach, is for going forward, focusing on the job search and issues around your job search. I'm picking up old episodes, bringing them into 2025 and beyond with both new information, current information, and also based on, a whole lot more years of experience on my part. The other podcast, The Exclusive Career, is focusing on career development, leadership development, emotional intelligence, those sort of things. The most recent episode over there is on cultural alignment, how to find the right company for you. And it comes at it from both the perspective of if you are job searching, how to make sure the company that you choose to work for is in cultural alignment for you. And if you are in a company, how to assess that cultural alignment. All right, we're going to talk about active versus passive strategies. This is a good time of the year to have this conversation because this is the second largest hiring push of the year, Labor Day through about mid-November. And then it really dies down until mid-January, where we get the biggest hiring push of the year. The reason I want to talk about active versus passive strategies is that so many of you are only looking at job boards, which is passive. And as I have said many, many times on my podcast before, if all you are doing is looking at job boards, you are not job searching. You're just looking at job boards like a whole bunch of other people. So we have to add some active ingredients in to the mix if you want to be employed. I'm telling people to expect a year runway if all they're doing is looking at job boards, a year or more to get a new job. Now, if you are not unhappy where you are, you haven't been shown the door, you just want to maybe have conversations with recruiters who reach out to you, maybe have a conversation with a networking contact every once in a while. You don't need these active strategies. You're not there yet. I encourage everyone to be in at least passive job search mode most of the time. And the reason I say most of the time is there may be exceptions. You just got a new job, there's a learning curve, there's something going on in your personal life that you don't want to even have those conversations. It doesn't make sense for you. But by and large, I want you to be at least willing to have conversations with recruiters. When, however, you've been given a deadline, we're going to shut the company down, we're going to eliminate your department, or you're seeing the handwriting on the wall about the company. Maybe there have been rounds of layoffs and you don't feel comfortable assuming that your job is going to be there for you in the future. Or you've just outgrown your current job, no opportunities at your current employer, you're ready to move on. Whatever the case may be, then we want to switch into active mode. And to do that, we need some active strategies. Does this make sense so far? All right, let's get some definitions here. So active strategies. First, we have LinkedIn networking. So this is going to be the part of LinkedIn that is active, which is connecting with people, having conversations, hopefully leading to one-on-one conversations. You can post on LinkedIn or other social media about your availability. I struggled with whether to consider this passive or active. It's kind of in the middle, but I put it as an active strategy. And I'm actually going to do a post or a podcast, I'm not sure what, upcoming and provide some scripts, if you will, to help people post because I'm seeing a lot of people post about their availability on LinkedIn in a way that does not serve them. It is not thinking like an employer. They're coming at it out of kind of desperation and need. Next active strategy is face-to-face one-on-one networking, which a lot of these other active strategies are intended to get you to one-on-one conversations. And this can be face-to-face over a cup of coffee in person or a virtual cup of coffee. Next, we have informational interviews. I make a clear distinction between a networking meeting, which I consider to be an equal exchange of energy. I want you to come into that meeting planning to give at least as much value as you get. Whereas with an informational interview, you are asking that person to meet with you to provide you a certain type of information, either about the company that they work for or used to work for, about their job function, about the industry that they're in, something very specific. And it is more one-sided. It's not to say you can't provide value to them, but you are not going in with that expectation. Talk more about that in an upcoming episode, I promise. Then we have professional association networking events. So if you belong to the Society for Human Resource Management and you're in HR, you belong to something to do with accounting, marketing, physicians, whatever it is, you are attending professional association networking events. Either networking is the stated purpose of the meeting or it is implicit that you can network there. Most of those meetings have at least that ability to network, even if that's not the purpose of the meeting. Next, we have other professional meetings where networking is possible. So here we're talking about things like the Chamber of Commerce. Maybe you belong to some sort of leadership, women's leadership group. You belong to some sort of e-network. Those are other professional meetings, not necessarily specific to your industry or your profession. Next, we have affinity and special interest groups. This is where people start to think very narrowly about how to network. And I want you to think very, very broadly. My rule of thumb is if the people aren't too drunk and the music isn't too loud, you can network. So do you love to bicycle? I have a guy who lives kind of catty-cornered from me who clearly is a fierce biker. And there's this whole group of men that come because of where our home is located relative to where they like to ride. They all congregated his house in the morning on Saturdays, bright and early, and they take a big old long ride up to another town and come back. I'm certain that's what they do because they're gone for hours. So the point there is that each of those people that he's biking with, they all have jobs. They have significant others, family, friends who have jobs. The reason that I say that we tend to narrowly define networking is we don't think about that. We think, oh, well, the guy that I'm riding bikes with, he's a banker and I'm a physician. What is there? Well, there's a lot of intersection there that we don't think of. Next, we have your University Alumni Association. And this is one that works really well for some of my clients and not so well for others because maybe they went to a really small school that isn't geographically near where they live or want to work. But for others, it can be very effective. You just have to look into what your University Alumni Association offers in your geographic area. Volunteering, and this is a little bit more of a longer runway for networking and for active strategies. But when you volunteer, again, same thing like with the affinity special interest group, they all have jobs, they have significant others, family, friends with jobs, particularly if you are strategic about what groups you volunteer in and what sort of people that will surround you with. I want you to volunteer out of a passion and a love for the thing. And also, it doesn't hurt if those people can be good networking sources. Next, we have recruiters that, and here's the big part of this one, you already have a relationship with, or they've been recommended to you. So, number one is this is a recruiter that I have used in the past. I want to reconnect with him. Or it's a recruiter that I have used to hire people like me in my current role, and I want to reach out and let them know that now I'm the one looking. The second part of that is someone in your network, you're telling them that you're looking for a new job, telling them what you're looking for, and they say, "Oh, have you talked to so and so, the recruiter? He would be a great person for you to connect to." So it is a warm lead rather than a cold lead. And you're going to see a difference in recruiters who don't fit those qualifications in the passive strategies. Next, we have your place of worship. I always tell my clients, don't join a church to get a job. But if you are a member of a church, let those people know. They tend to be very willing to help. And again, they have jobs, they have friends, family, significant others, whatever, neighbors who have jobs. So it's a wide circle of people. And finally, I have in person virtual career fairs. And this is significantly useful for certain groups of people and not so much others. But if it makes sense for you, career fairs can be held by communities where they invite all the employers in their area to come. It could be an industry event. Say maybe there's a lot of healthcare or a lot of education in your community, and so it's specific to that industry. A specific company can have a hiring fair. I've seen this most often with things like hospitals where there's a huge need. And it can be held by the Chamber of Commerce, it can be held by the Department of Labor. And oftentimes they are looking for more entry levels. That's kind of the caveat on this one. However, it could be a good way for you to make a contact at a company that you really want to work for, even though, they're not really there to talk about jobs at your level. So consider that. Let's get into the passive strategies. First, we have general job boards. Here we're talking about LinkedIn's job board. So we have the LinkedIn part that is the networking. We've already talked about this, and that's the active part. The passive part is looking at the jobs on LinkedIn. We also have Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Monster, wherever you like to look. Next, we have industry or niche job boards. So, job boards that are specific to the work that you do or the industry that you're in. It could be, I always use the example of DICE, which is for IT people, but there are ones for accountants and HR people and all the things. Next, we have target employer websites, and I'll circle back around to target employers in a moment. Professional association job postings. So you belong to SHRM, you belong to the accounting association. Oftentimes they will post jobs on their website. Recruiters who reach out to you. Again, this is a passive strategy because you have no control over when they're going to reach out and what they have available. My recommendation, I actually have it on the form that I work with my clients on to create their job strategy. I have that one pre-selected for them, and all it says is talk to them. If they call you, be willing to have the conversation. And then finally, a personal website or a web portfolio, which is appropriate for people who maybe you're in the visual arts, perhaps some kind of written communication where it makes sense for you to have your work on display. I mentioned target employer websites, and I want to circle back around to that one. So the active part of that strategy is I want you to create a list of 10 to 12 employers that are a perfect fit for you based on whatever is important to you. It has to start with that assessment of yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to know what you're looking for. And then you are actively pursuing getting your foot in the door and having conversations with decision makers at those companies. The passive part is while you're actively trying to have those conversations, I also want you to be checking out those companies' websites for job postings. I don't want you to miss a job for which you are perfect fit just because you're so focused on the active strategy that you don't see that the job is right there in front of you. Next, I want to talk about how I use this tool with my clients. With almost every client I work with, we spend one session of their coaching. So they have some number of coaching sessions depending on their package. Usually it's 3 coaching sessions. And we spend one of those sessions developing the what of their job search. So all of the things that I just mentioned, active and passive strategies, are on a document. I go through, I explain them, and we together select which of those make the most sense for them. So they're getting a customized job search strategy. Once we've selected the strategies and we pick three to five from the active, 3 to 5 from the passive, then we come up with the action steps that they're going to take. It's not enough for me to say, oh, one of your strategies is to go network. Go to professional associations and network. We break it down into action steps that they can then calendar in. We determine how much time they're going to spend on that strategy, what exactly are they going to do, and we talk very specifically about how to put this on their calendar so that they have structure around their job search. What I see with too many people is number one, there's no shape to their job search. They get up in the morning and they do some stuff and they have no idea if what they're doing is the right stuff or the wrong stuff, but they're doing stuff. They have no way to measure their success other than things that are out of their control. Did I get any offers today? Did I get any interviews today? Did any recruiters call me? All things out of their control. So they're not measuring, they have no metrics and they have no way to measure their success. We set up that structure in their calendar, and then we talk about how to use the last part of each block of time to set up the structure for the next time. What is it that they need to keep doing, so they want to move it over and do it again next time? What is it they want to start doing, or like, I got this far today, so I want to pick up here next time? What is it that they no longer need to do because it was a one and done, or they've completed it? They have now structure. This is going to allow them to hit the ground running when they get to that next block of time. They don't have to sit there and go, oh, I wonder what I'm supposed to be doing. No, also, and this one's, I think, mostly for me, the way my brain works is if I don't have that structure in my calendar with specific action steps, specific deliverables, my brain will be like, it's a nice day outside. Let's go hang out in the pool, right? I want to have that structure so that my brain can look at that and see, oh, I've got work to do. I better get after it. And also now, because I have those deliverables in the calendar, I can measure my success. Did I tick off everything in that block of time? All right. Next, let's talk about how much time I tell my clients to spend on their job search. If they are fully employed, their job search is not their full-time job. Their job is their full-time job. I ask for a minimum of 5 hours a week of consistent, can't underline that word and put it in bold and big font enough, consistent job search effort. If you say 5 hours a week, that does not mean 20 hours a month. It does not mean 60 hours a quarter of my math. I had to think about that. It means 5 hours a week because that consistent effort is what is going to pay off. Now, if the client is unemployed, that is their full-time job. And I ask for 30 hours a week, not 40 or 50, because I think you can burn out. And I also think that for most people, they want a little time to breathe and recharge and enjoy perhaps maybe a slower pace because they're not working. So 30 hours a week, and they can parcel that out however they want to. I've talked about that, the division between active and passive strategies in previous episodes. I want to go over that again real quick. If you are recently out of college, let's say you're still in your 20s, I want you to spend at least 25% of your job search time on active strategies. 75% can be passive because that's your jobs are still on job boards. You have opportunities on job boards. If you are mid-career, 50-50 split. If you are in an upper level position, 75% active, 25% passive. And if you are in the C-suite, really 100% of your job search time should be on active strategies, with zero. The only thing that really would factor in there as far as a passive strategy would be those recruiters who are reaching out to you. And hopefully there's a lot of that going on for you at that level. Final word here. I don't expect any of my clients to know how to do each of the strategies we select for them at that session where we plan their job search strategy. That's what we use the additional sessions for. So for some people, it is more on how to network. Okay, I know you want me to network. I don't know how to do it. I'm scared of it. I'm terrible at it, whatever. For other people, it is they really don't know how to maximize and optimize LinkedIn. They don't know how to move around in the LinkedIn community well enough. So whatever it is, they have those additional sessions for the how. Now I want to give you a bottom line 5-step process if you are doing a job search on your own. Here you go. DIY. Number one, assess what you're currently doing for your job search and what percentage of your time is spent for each. So really tell yourself the truth. Sit down and think, okay, whether you can look at your calendar, if there's anything indicated there, if you've made notes, how much time am I actually spending on my job search and what am I doing with that time? What's active? What's passive? Number two, considering the percentage of active and passive strategies and the amount of time I recommended, so the 5 hours or the 30 hours, determine what needs to change. So first thing you're doing is getting that current status, that baseline data. Here's the fact, here's what I've been doing. What do I need to change to get this in alignment with the percentages that Lisa has spoken about? Number three, look at the strategies I've talked about, think about them, go through the podcast again, and identify the strategies you might want to add. Hopefully, they're primarily in the active column. Number four, create specific action steps for each of the strategies. So the ones you've been doing and the ones that you choose to add, and calendar them in. I cannot overstate how important calendaring this in so that your brain knows that this block, this 1 hour block, this 2 hour block of time is specifically for job search. It is not for scrolling. It is not for texting. It is not for doing work at your job. It is not for, doing things around the house. It is for your job search. And if there are people in your life who need to be informed of that so that they understand your structure, please give them that information. Number five, you want to periodically assess what's working and what isn't. And if a strategy isn't working, I want you to tell yourself the truth as to why it's not working. Make the necessary changes. Is the strategy not working because it's not the right strategy for you? Or is the strategy not working because you haven't worked the strategy? Tell yourself the truth. And then I have a bonus number six strategy. Be willing to seek help with the areas that you don't feel competent in. So again, I mentioned, networking, fully utilizing LinkedIn, those kind of things. Whatever it is that you need help with, if I'm the person, the resource that you need, reach out to me and let me help you with that. All right, I hope this has been helpful. And yeah, I'll see you next time with more job search assistance. Take care.